right. Wow, you're
Hey.
as always.
I'm always so excited when it works. Like we can see our faces and hear each other.
I know, right? Oh my gosh. Well, we're live. Welcome to Run Wild with us. Ask Us Anything. I'm Lisa Kastner. I'm the founder and one of the editors of Running Wild, which consists of 5 presses. I'm here with the indomitable Cecilia Kennedy, one of our another one of our amazing editors and authors, and the incredible Ben. We need to add that to like every time we introduce you. There has to be like
We should.
we should.
I'm all for it.
And he is also one of our incredible authors, editors. He is the acquisitions editor and founding editor of Junkyard Rooster Press, which is one of our newer presses. And we are here. Typically, we're also here with Peter Wright, but we'll see if he's able to join today. And this is your chance to ask us whatever you want. Now, I got to tell you guys something. I mean, everybody on this call, from those who must speak side, we all have a lot of experience, I'd say, across all of the various forms, whether it's indie, self, mid, major houses. We've all been around a long time, which just means we all started when we were 2. And what's really great about this is it's really fascinating if you follow the storytelling or publishing industry, because it is really evolving and changing really dramatically for a variety of reasons. And so I think all of us have been doing pretty well keeping on top of it. And honestly, like the questions that you ask us kind of give us really great insights into like, what are you most interested in, right? And what are you seeing? Because honestly, many of you who join us as well come into it with, I mean, a lot of great knowledge too. So if you have any old questions, all you have to do is toss those questions into the comments section of whatever venue you are watching this, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and just go ahead and just ask. And we will do our best to answer the questions. We'll all take turns. And yeah. And honestly, if you're watching this and you're watching the recording, because when this is done, it's actually recorded on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And you're like, oh my God, I just thought of something. Go ahead and put your question into the comments section, because we actually do go back and we do check. So with that, I'm going to say, hey, Peter, how are you doing, young man?
Hello. I'm doing very well. Very well.
Really?
Indeed. Yes. Things are good.
So what's new and exciting in Peterland? And for those who don't know, Peter is actually the founder of Trompe l'Oeil Press. Boy, I'll get it right one day. Trompe l'Oeil Press, which is one of our newer presses. And he is also one of our phenomenal acquisition editors. I'd say actually both Ben and Peter and myself, we've all had titles that we edited that were named Best of the Year or Groundbreaking, and so on. So, you know, again, you're talking to some folks who I think we can safely say that we might kind of know what we're sort of doing. And I'm including Cecilia in that. I know she knows what she's doing. So really take the opportunity to pick our respective brains. So anyway, Peter, what is going on, man?
Still pushing through my novel. I recently drafted a letter to one of my authors, and it was partially advice for them, partially advice for me, to say, you know, don't get hung up on the specifics. It's just a single draft. Drafts are meant to be shit, the first one at least. So just keep pushing no matter what. So I've released the chains, and I'm moving forward. in my novel and just seeing what lands. I'm hoping to get back. I mean, ideally I can get back to the time when I wrote my first novel. I didn't know what I was doing. I was flying by the seat of my pants, but I wrote every night. I had a word count, a quote I had to hit. And that fervor, that excitement, that enjoyment I got out of it, I want to get back to that without any of the editorial stuff that I'm putting up with now. So that naturalistic state is where I want to get back to, and I will get back to it. And one of the things that's nice now is that I picked up the fourth draft of one of the novels that I've been working on with an author, Curtis. And it's just like walking down the path of just pure enjoyment. The writing is so solid. It's so strong. You see what's happening. He breaks rules in such a way that it makes sense. And I love it because it's like, yeah, okay, that's a cliche, but it works here. All right. So you just let things flow. So things are hitting a very literary strong point in terms of my writing and my editing at the moment. So I'm looking forward to the next book I'm editing as well. So things are good here.
Wow, that's phenomenal. So how about you, Cecilia? You were actually the first one on. So
oh yeah,
exciting.
So it's a very productive week. So I got another round of edits done for one of the Running Wild Press authors. So I'll be getting some comments together and sending those on to him. So that feels good to have that first pass done. There will be more, but it's looking good. It's shaping up and coming along. And then I'm working on my own novel as well. And I'm starting to just piece by piece go through what the beta reader caught. And I know I probably shouldn't do this, but I've not been writing any notes to myself. I've just been trying to remember things as I get to different passages. So it's like complete concentration. And I've never done it that way before, but it's kind of like as I'm thinking of it, to add in all of those pieces that were missing. It's kind of fun, actually. It's like, just kind of, it's sort of making it up as you go along, but also you kind of have your grocery list in your head as you're doing it. So you have your grocery list of items that you need to look for as you're doing it. And so that's been a lot of fun. It's been refreshing to do that part of it. And it's been interesting because I usually write first by hand and then type everything out. And then for the editing, I don't write anything by hand at that point. I'm typing in between, the drafts. So that goes faster, but it's also, from the confidence of having that handwritten part first for me.
Oh, wow. Cool. And how about you, Ben?
Let's see. Well, today actually I met with Rodolfo Serna. He's one of our authors, but also he's polishing up our website for us, and he's tracking and sees more activity. So swing over to Running Wild Press, the website, and see how he's polished it. But I met with him today because earlier in the week, I handed off Children of the Atomic Reservation, his dystopian science fiction novel that I got the first edits through, and 300 pages, and I sent him 1,070 suggestions.
Wow.
And he didn't blink an eye. He said, okay.
Hey,
yeah,
that's awesome.
And he's going through it, and actually, some of the things I said, he's tightening up. I didn't ask him to tighten it up, but it just shows that some of the suggestions lead to the author saying, "Yeah, this whole thing needs to be tightened up a little bit," and that's a good situation when the author sees it, and they take your 1,000 suggestions. And I don't know how that happened. That's like over 3 a page. But. Yeah, but let's see. Today I started going through the first ever Running Wild Press poetry anthology. and we actually have some pretty good stuff that's been submitted, and not everything has been, or not every author has been has made it through. but the ones that have, not every poem that they submitted had made it through. So, but it's still a good selection of poems that make sense to Running Wild in that first anthology. That was Peter's idea. and so we're gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I finished reviewing a memoir in essays, and so the author is going through the recommendations, and he's going to add a few more essays to kind of like round things out, I guess you could say. One of our incredible authors, Shonda Buchanan, who wrote The Lost Songs of Nina Simone, which is basically a book of poetry, and her actual production date, I believe, is Monday. So huge congratulations to Shonda. And she's already gotten tons and tons of attention, which is fantastic. It's definitely one of those you absolutely want to check out. I've been working with another one of our authors, Scott Leva, on promoting his memoir, which is I Am or Was Spider-Man. And it's basically his memoir framed around his experiences, both in the entertainment industry as well as the evolution of him basically representing or becoming known as Spider-Man in so many areas of the comic book world, which is fantastic. And we just have an absolute blast together whenever we get together. We've rebooted. We used to do a series called 20 Questions with our authors, and I just rebooted it. We just did one of the sessions with Kate, who wrote Alterations, which is another incredible historical fiction novel based in the entertainment industry. And in all honesty, it's primarily about these amazing loving relationships of gay couples who during like the 1940s, 1950s, who had to hide their preferences, their sexual preferences, their relationship preferences. Otherwise, they would have been blackballed within the industry. So it is absolutely gorgeously written. Already gotten a slew of fantastic reviews as well as blurbs. So, I mean, that's amazing. And I have also on the QT started working with, or been working with another gentleman within the entertainment industry that once I think he'll feel comfortable, you know, us talking about it, I think you guys are going to be like, oh my God, that's amazing. But let's just say he's considered in essence like a living icon. So I'm really looking forward when I can actually talk to you about it. I'll be looking over his memoir in a bit more detail this weekend. I've been working on my own novel, and which is the third in the Cure series around war dogs. So it was funny, Cecilia, because when you were talking about like your editing process, mine is I try to knock out as much as I can of a first really bad draft. Mm-hmm. And I leave notes to myself, like sections that I know I have to flesh out, or I know I'm going to have to like, you know, iterate. And I hit one that, in all honesty, it's basically like a catalyst to the novel itself. And so I had already done some research on this, but I need to do a lot more, or I have been now. I'm doing a lot more on how do wolf packs handle one of their alphas being attacked. Mm-hmm. Like, how do they protect that alpha wolf? And what I'm finding more interesting than not the novels, the videos and the essays I'm finding on it, it's the positioning of them. Because you would think that it would be like this straightforward, especially, you know, like the PBS series on like wolves and how wolves hunt and how they protect and all that. Well, they all have some type of very specific positioning, like that they want you to think a certain way about wolves or how wolves behave. So like, and what really made it obvious to me was I watched one video about wolves that are in the wild, and they basically, tagged, all the wolves so they could know what wolf was doing, acted in what capacity and all that. And the purpose of it, in my opinion, was really more so for us to consider wolves not threatening, right? So it was like, oh, look how wonderful of a community these wild wolves are, and they really look out for one another, and it's all about the family, and blah blah blah. And then I watch another one that's from the BBC, and they're basically like, they may look non-threatening because they're so there are actually wolf dog crossbreeds, right? So they keep comparing them to like how dogs behave, and they're like, this may look like this kind of canine, but understand, like, this wolf could kill you in a heartbeat, And so their whole purpose for this video series is to make you aware that, wild wolves, don't mess with them, because this thing could take down a buffalo in 0.5 seconds, and they go through showing like how these wolves hunt and how deadly they are up until the kill. And then typically they'll show like the start of the kill, and then they stop there. So I guess so that you don't, like, I guess it's too explicit, So like, I'm like, look, all I want to know is like, how do wolf packs protect one another, right? And again, they're all so explicitly positioned to try and get you to think a certain way. It's like, I'm just ending up doing a lot more homework than I thought I was going to have to, because of this positioning. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Have you guys encountered that kind of thing before when you were writing stories? I just threw a lot at you. So if you're all like, yeah, bite me, it's all good.
I try to not research while I'm writing, because I go down as many rabbit holes as I can to find the information I'm looking for. And 7 times out of 10, it doesn't make it to the final cut. So I try to limit it. And, like any human, I get distracted. And that's the biggest enemy of the game, is distraction. So I try to keep my notes to the keyboard as much as I can to get the story through. It's, again, I like the passion of you. Just push it out, just pump it out, get to the end, and then go back and find out what needs to happen, what research needs to be done, because then you've got a fuller grasp of the characters as well as the story arc, or at least the initial story arc of your novel, kind of thing. But if you could do both, I mean, more power to you, because I just get lost in rabbit holes sometimes.
Oh no, I definitely hit the point where it's also a lot of trying to figure out, how do you do the search? Like, what keywords do you use in the search to get what it is that you actually need? Because some of the things I was reading, I'm like, what does this have to do with anything? And then I'm like, oh, it's because, like, I asked, like, how do wolf packs hunt? And so they're talking about how do wolf packs, like, on American, like in Colorado, on farms, how they hunt elk. And I'm like, okay, so I see how these keywords got me here, but it's got nothing to do with nothing for what I'm trying to accomplish. So much of it's just, continuously playing to figure out, like, how do I get the information I need,
Yeah.
I recently, so I was doing basically hands-on research for this recent novel that I'm doing, and the characters have a shootout. I've never owned or operated a gun. My husband grew up, learning to hunt, came naturally to him. So we went to a shooting range, and I freaked out. Like, it's so loud. Nothing prepares you for how loud it is. And I'm holding it, realizing, I mean, there's a lot of power in that. I could not hit the target at all. I think I got shoulders, the paper target. I don't think I got anything else. But what I was really interested in was, the sounds, the smells. And so when I went home and I wrote the scene, I had Nate check it. I got some of the technical, like I said, I forget what I said, but it's sights, I think, is the thing that you see through. So he was trying to get me to use that instead of what I was using, which was wrong. And then I thought I saw gunpowder or smoke. And he goes, no, you didn't. You may have smelled it, but you might not have seen it. He goes, not from that gun. So I was like, well, I imagine things that I didn't see while I was there. So, it was really interesting to get that perspective because, and to have somebody else there with you who knew what they were doing. Because when I went home with my notes and translated everything to that scene, not everything read correctly in his mind. So I had some edits, which I'm glad he was able to do. So it's a little bit more realistic than it was before.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was interesting. I'd never done it before. I don't know that I might go back. I mean, he wanted me to try different guns and I was like, nope, I think I'm good with this one. I shot it. I did it. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah. At first I hid in the corner like some cat, like I tried to find a corner. There's no corner in a shooting range, really. I was like, Nate, you do it. I'll just watch and observe. He goes, oh no, you're going to have to do it. So I did. I'm glad I did. But yeah, that was the extent of it.
Well, Dawn and CJ both say, hey, Dawn, hey, CJ. And TJ says, sorry, I missed a bunch of these, but I'm saving up jokes for later. I'm like, no, you can go ahead and say the jokes now. That's fine. So how about you, Ben? Have you had any experiences where you were like, oh my God, this is insane?
Any historical research, and this probably is any field, whether you're writing a book or just researching history, the history books are going to give you names, places, and dates.
Right. Yeah.
And that opens up for the creative writer or even the creative nonfiction writer. You get to project the emotions because the history books won't have emotions. They won't have what people were thinking or the impact on other people necessarily. But when you go back and you get those events, you get to add the emotional aspects. It's like in Triggerfish 1-2, where the Buddhist monk in Vietnam set himself on fire at the beginning of the war. Nobody knew what he was thinking or saying or what people around were thinking and seeing and saying. So it was wide open for a creative approach to fill that in, because history is just stepping stones between those people and places and dates. So you get to fill it in with emotions and thoughts and reactions, but you can see that no matter what the scope is, you're gonna there's a lot of history to that links over and say, oh, that happened and that happened. And what happened in between, I got to remember that. But then what happened after, is you got to remember that. So the rabbit hole is very real. It's waiting for you, Alice. It's waiting for you.
And sometimes the rabbit holes are great because
Oh, yeah.
you'll find stuff that you never had any idea was something that you could use. And then, like honestly, like when I first was doing research on this, I didn't realize that wolf packs, it wasn't an alpha male. It was actually an alpha male and female. So it was really the mating couple that formed the pack itself. And I guess according to the latest research, they typically mate once a year. And so they have pups once a year. And then it kind of, expands outward from there. But so I didn't know any of that stuff, you know, I only knew the cliches that you hear about when you do any kind of research around wolves. So CJ says, I see Running Wild uses Library Thing for promotion. Thank you. How exactly does Library Thing work, and how has it been successful for Running Wild? Wow, that's a great question. So I'll be honest, CJ, we don't necessarily. Oh no, yes, we do. I was going to say we don't really use this Library Thing directly. We do. So I had been reached out a while ago about us possibly including upcoming books on Library Thing. So for those who don't know, Library Thing is it's an opportunity for librarians and those affiliated with libraries to find out about up and coming books, and they basically put their name in a lottery, and the publisher decides how many books they want to have available in that lottery, and then the publisher gets a list of the names and addresses to send the sample books. Now, what's cool about this is it helps to ensure that these stories are that the libraries are aware of the stories. And what's also cool about it is I believe we also let them know. We also tell them that the books are available in Edelweiss, because they are. And for those who don't know, Edelweiss is actually an online means of everything from retailers to librarians to schools, you name it. Anyone who would basically acquire a book to go online and find out both about pre-existing books that are available as well as those that are up and coming, and get anything from like the synopsis to marketing materials to access to EPUBs or a couple of chapters so that they can check it out. So what's great about Library Thing is it gives you it's like a twofold, right? One, we get a chance to make these books available, actual paperbacks, to the librarians. And two, they then, if they don't necessarily win that lottery, they then can go ahead and check it out on Edelweiss and get digital copies. So from my perspective, it's a win-win. And we make sure that all of our books are actually on Library Thing. So all of them are available. I believe it's usually 5 copies that we make available of paperbacks. And what I have seen is we've gotten a much bigger uptick of libraries purchasing paperback copies. And I'm assuming it's as a result of that, because we've been on Library Thing for a bit. But yeah, I love it. It's a great promotional venue. I don't know who came up with it, but 2 thumbs up. But yeah, no, that CJ, great question. I honestly like it better than things like Goodreads, because Goodreads, I think, was great in the first couple of years of its existence, right? It seemed like they did a really great job of enabling you to be aware of a variety of books that were out there. The reviews that people gave were pretty solid. The promotional or the promotions that you could run on Goodreads, again, were really solid. And then I think they just went through too many times of trying to make and increase their revenue, and it just got more and more convoluted. And every time every time we ran some kind of promotion on Goodreads, it didn't really have an effect. And I honestly think that a lot of times people just they couldn't find the books. They couldn't find the stories, because at least the last time I tried it, it was similar to some other platforms where it's a tiered approach. So like, yes, anybody can post anything on Goodreads, but if you want to make sure that people who are into this kind of story, you've got to pay $50, right? And if you want to, if you want to run a promo where you're giving books away on Goodreads, you've got to pay them $100 plus, X number of books plus, oh, and we're going to really heavily recommend that on top of this, you do, a week-long promotion for, only $19.99, kind of thing. So it just wasn't, it definitely did not have the same impacts as it had in the past. So, maybe that'll change. I hope it does. I hope it goes back to being more valuable to the broader audiences. But yeah, that was my take. How about you guys? Have you found anything that you thought was really valuable, like a great way for readers to find your stories or friends' stories?
I just think word of mouth is the best way for me, just because, to pass a book around or to let people know that this book that you just read is really fantastic. You couldn't put it down. I wasn't even aware of a library thing up until now. And Goodreads it reached the peak early and it kind of tapered off after a while for me. So I really paid much attention to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, word of mouth, having people write reviews for you, reviews showing up in people's magazines. I've written a few, some have written for me as well. And then a really fun thing happened. Kandasha Press does horror anthologies, and they put out a call asking for anybody who's written horror books, any woman, author in horror. She was going to put them in a library at the University of Louisiana. And so now I have books in a university library. I've never had that opportunity before. So networks of friends, word of mouth, that kind of thing has worked for me.
Yeah, cool. How about you, Ben?
Yeah, I think it's the networking that think about the people who are around books and in some way, like librarians, for instance. Librarians they like books.
They better.
But the universities, the teaching staff and the writing programs, they are there often to encourage their students to read other books, to read books. So if there's a student coming through their program that writes a certain way and it makes them think, oh, well, you might benefit from reading Ben's book, read Ben's book. And that's how it grows out of that network into other networks where I don't necessarily know the student, but if I know the instructor who is looking for and keeping my work in the back of his or her mind to say, yeah, look at that and see what you can extract. Don't write like Ben, but you may appreciate the approach or the format or the way it's dealt with. So because that's the way I found a lot of authors that I hadn't heard of was through the recommendation in the MFA program. Probably the best benefit of an MFA program, or one of the benefits of an MFA program, is to be subjected to other work. And whether it's a 180 from yours or whether it's right in line with yours, it really doesn't matter. It helps either way.
Actually, that's a great point. Some of my dearest finds, both from a narrative and a craft perspective, was by, going to snooty conferences and workshops and like writers retreats, because I would always buy books of the instructors so that I could, kind of get a feel for their styles and, way of doing things and so on. And it was great. That approach for me was great because I'd found amazing stories and amazing authors, but it also enabled me to learn a lot of craft before I even walked in the door. And so when we actually had the workshop or had the conference and they would, we would be talking. A lot of their feedback would, obviously it's from their point of view of how to do storytelling. So it fleshed out for me a lot of what I had learned from reading their books on storytelling, or not on storytelling, but of how to do the storytelling, or why they did the storytelling the way they did. Like for me, one of my instructors was Wally Lamb, and he's famous for several reasons, but he did a short story collection that was Connected Short Stories. I'd never read Connected Short Stories before, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And part of the class that he talked about that, the Connected Short Stories, and not only how he came up with the concept and like how to do it, but also how he made sure there was consistency across the stories, so that it felt like this, each short story was its own story, yes, but then each one built on the other from different points of view. And so it was almost like this bigger story was unfolding with each short story that you read. And he talked about, like how he came up with that concept and how he did it and so on. But because I had the opportunity to read that short story collection, I came into it with a baseline. And so it really enriched it even more for me. And honestly, the same is true for like fellow classmates, both in my MFA program as well as at the Snooty conferences and Snooty, workshops and so on. Because you never know who you're going to have, who's going to be a classmate, And I was honestly shocked at some of my classmates. I mean, they were like, heads of presses, or like, they had already won, multiple awards. And I thought, why are you in this workshop? Like, shouldn't you be teaching? Like, this is so weird, but then like you start really, diving into the instructors that were there, and it's like, oh, it's because our instructor is a Pulitzer Prize nominated, so I guess in comparison, yeah, we're little, we're like, teeny little fish. So
and those writers had awesome editors too, so let's not forget that.
Well, yes, that is true. I know several authors who glow about their editors and request specific editors to work with, because they know, like, they would never be where they are now without that editor really acting as a guide, and really not only having a vision for their work, but seeing the author's vision and being able to, like, build on it. So, CJ says, I've been using Storygraph for my own reading tracking. It's a woman-owned site. It is small, but it's a nicer community. Oh, that's kind of cool. I'll have to check it out.
I just wrote it down.
You wrote it down?
I wrote it down. I'm going to check that out for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, CJ. I wish I was that bold. I use my bedside. I just have so many books that I need to read. And I actually have stacks of books I still need to give away.
My notebook. Need something better.
Right? I agree with the just like word of mouth too is absolutely, because when people are passionate about something, they really like to talk about it.
Well, and that's the place, they want to share that experience. They want to share that excitement or that fun or that passion, or even that horror that they existed in for that moment in time. It took them out of this world into this other world created by the author. And like, look, you really got to see this, or you really got to watch this movie. No, you really got to read this book. It's that good.
Yeah. Yeah. believe it or not, I just brought on a new formatter for our books, and she literally texted me to tell me how much she loved. She's decided to read this one that she's formatting, and she's like, "Oh my God, I can't put this down." I'm like, "Well, that's good." Great foreshadowing, hopefully.
Of course,
So,
I've
oh my gosh.
had my share of great workshop mates and fantastic teachers, and my share of workshop mates who just didn't quite get the program. I went to Iowa City Writers Workshop once, and there was an author there who would not show his manuscript to anybody. He'd critique other people's, but he wouldn't let you see his because he didn't want you to steal his idea.
Ew.
Like, dude, it's just an idea. Okay, he flat out said, "I won't show you my manuscript. Nope, can't see it, can't look at it, can't critique it, can't workshop it." So I'm like, "What in the world are you doing here? You spent the money." Like, okay, all right, then we won't critique your manuscript, dude. Those 10 pages that can steal the world from you. Like,
now I gotta ask, have you heard or seen of him at all?
Not a wisp, not a peep, nothing. He disappeared.
For our graduate program, we did.
From that is the one that says, "Well, just look at mine, and when we're done, I'm out of here."
Who says that?
I've seen that. That's the other extreme. The one
yeah.
that everybody look at mine, give me your feedback, and then okay, you're on your own.
Well, or look at mine, tell me how fabulous I am, and if you don't tell me how fabulous I am, then you're all wrong. You can all screw off, and I'm gonna just like pound sand. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
In the graduate school program that I was in, we did have somebody who would take library books and keep them. So when we exchanged papers, I would take the bibliography out if this person was my partner so that my books would get stolen, but I'd let them critique the rest of it. I would take the bibliography out so I'd make sure that I still had the books to go back to if I needed them. I think we all did that. But yeah, hiding books in the library and that was kind of the thing people did sometimes.
That's creepy.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're already only have 18 minutes left, which is insane. So just a reminder, guys, go ahead, pop your questions or comments into whatever venue you are watching this in. And again, I will happily repeat it, and we can then take turns giving our 10 cents. So, okay, Peter, you were saying something. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, nothing. It wasn't. I was just adding on, just saying some people are taking classes in how to get in your own way kind of thing, as opposed to how to open your mind and actually learn something from other people who want to help you with your writing. But some people just walk down the street with a cardboard in front of their eyes and wonder why they keep running into things.
CJ says, I met an author who said he knew his books had typos, but that would make them more valuable for collectors. Then he winked at me. Ew.
I don't know what to do with that one.
Yeah. That's really weird. I mean, honestly, the other extreme is we've had authors that, went through the whole production process. It went through the editing process, went through formatting. They reviewed it. They found typos, right? Fixed the typos. And then it went to actual production. They got a book in hand and they were like, oh my God, it has typos, which were there before. They just didn't see them, previously. And then insisted that the book we had to stop production. We could not put another book out into the world. Every single book had to be destroyed because it could not be humiliated by having typos. And when I say typos, I mean like 2 spaces instead of 1. Like
Is James Patterson throwing another hissy fit? I mean, is he doing it again? I mean, come on. The guy's ego is just too damn big.
And what's hilarious is like when I tell this story to like real, well-established authors, they're like, all my books have typos. Every book has typos. Like, cut me a break. It's there's so many hands in it that, it's not unusual, but I just, when every once in a while we'll get an author who like, oh my gosh, I mean, the drama, I'll agree to us going back and getting the typos fixed and everything, right? Like that's not, but like if you're telling me we have to stop production and I have to have all the books destroyed and the world's on fire, all right, you need to go. I don't. What's some good medication to get you to chill out? Because maybe some CBD gummies or something. That might help. Because this is not. It's just weird.
You can always read more and find out you're not alone.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna find them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I actually feel better when I find them. I'm like, oh yay, someone like me.
And
yeah, I mean,
after editing, I can't read a book without looking for them.
Yeah.
Right.
And they jump out.
They do.
Oh, is it who wrote The Women? Is that Hannah Christian or Kristen Hanna?
Oh,
the book,
I think it's Kristen Hanna. Now
Kristen
I have to look
Hanna,
it up.
yeah. There's a point where the doctor is talking before Christmas, and then after New Year's, he left Vietnam 2 months ago. Yeah, and I said, no, he didn't. He was here at Christmas. But that's not even a typo. That's a structure issue of the scene flow.
Yeah.
But somebody missed it.
Time travel, Ben. Time travel.
Which Christmas was he here? That was Christmas a long time ago. Yeah.
No, it's weird because I look at books. I mean, I do my best to pay attention to every comma, every space, every word, and I still, even on the fourth draft, I'm like, how did I miss that? It's just it glares out at me. It's like, and I go through as tightly as I can. Like every author does, they go through as tightly as they can, and yet stuff you just glaze over it. It doesn't make sense to me. And like you said, these books go through 3, 4, 5, 6 people on their way from initial idea to finished product, and you still have typos. Like, okay, we're human. That's the best we're going to be able to do. I mean, so.
Yeah, and I'm down with getting them fixed. But if this becomes drama, or you're like, it has to be changed, if it's like 1 week before the day it's supposed to come out, and you're like, it's got to be changed before it comes out, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna glaze over. I'm probably gonna pretend I didn't see your email because you're kind of crazy.
I would start charging them, is what I would do.
Right?
10 grand there, Charlie. Okay, come on. See how fast it gets back to being perfect.
Now, I mean, there are ones that I absolutely, like if somehow the formatting gets really weird, and like if it's something that's a huge error, yes, of course we're going to fix it, right? But that is not very frequent, and typically if it passed by us, it passed by you too.
How dare you give us an incomplete manuscript?
Yeah, how dare you, bastard? Oh my goodness. Yep. Oh, and I think it's this weekend. Now I have to double check. Is it this weekend? Yes. This weekend is actually a class on story development and scene creation by Jonathan Mayberry, and he always gives the proceeds to a nonprofit. So now I'm looking up a link so that you can sign up. And these are all actually really, really cool classes. He has a bunch of them. Because what he does, he oftentimes uses actual examples from his own experiences within the workshop, so that, so it makes it more real, basically. Which I think it actually helps a lot of people when they're trying to get their stuff done. I just put it in the comments section. So if you're watching this, just go ahead, look into the comments, and you'll find a link to Jonathan's class so you can sign up. And it's actually also on his website, jonathanmayberry.com. So again, definitely check it out. Oh, and I have also been really actively working with one of our core members, core leadership team members, Joelle, on our celebrations for next year, because next year is our 10-year anniversary. And so we're going to kick it off actually in December with a private party at my house, and get, obviously, Cecilia, Peter, Ben, you guys are all going to be included. But we're also going to invite a lot of people who've been, that, we've published, obviously, B, who've worked with us or for us. And also like a lot of the local libraries and booksellers and places that have hosted like various events that we've had in the past, and also, and like people who sponsor or who do AWP and all that kind of thing. So because I really want to thank everybody because we couldn't be where we are now without everyone, and B, I just thought it would be a lot more fun to get everybody in more of like a private setting to come and hang out. And in that party in December, what we're going to do is actually it's like a pre-launch. We're going to announce all of these amazing events and amazing activities that we're going to have every month, again, to celebrate both the books that are coming out as well as those that we've launched in the past. So I'm really looking forward to it. It is going to be so much fun. And especially Ben and Peter, once I have it a little more fleshed out, you guys are going to get access to it, because I really want your $1.25, just to see, like, is there anything we're significantly missing, I guess you could say. So awesome.
Okay.
All right. Wow. We only have 7 minutes left. How is that possible?
Ben keeps talking.
That'll do it. I mean, and of course, with you saying that, he completely shuts up, right? Like,
I pick on Ben, but so because I love him.
So, for short story anthology number 10, the cutoff dates for me to start screening is June 1st all the way through May 31st. So you still have 9 days to get a short story in to be considered for anthology 10. If you don't get it in until June 1st, it's going to probably be held off till June 11th or anthology 11.
That's fair.
This year's anthology is still open for submissions, although it's not published that way. It's just the arbitrary thing that I did, June 1st to May 31st, because you got to cut it off somewhere.
Well, I'm editing the novella anthologies. I think I'm doing volume 10 now. Yeah. And oh my gosh, because I have no common sense, I picked 33 novellas.
Whoa.
I think I'm on, well, there were like 330, so that's actually not bad. But I think I'm on the 5th one so far. So now normally the novellas that we get are more like, 20, 25,000 words, and maybe a handful are in like the 40,000 word range. Yeah. It seems to have flipped this time around, so it's taking me a bit longer than it would normally, but that's fine. So, and June 4th, I keep getting emails about this, even though it says explicitly on our submittable page that if you have not heard from us, it means you're still in the running. But for those who are watching, June 4th, that is when the acquisition editors are going to get together and we will review the submissions that we have received, let's just say to date. So if you submitted to us something that's a full-length work, a memoir, creative nonfiction, novel, short story collection, poetry collection, what have you, it will be reviewed by us at that time. So you will most likely hear from us, I want to say, by mid-June, something like that. So just keep that in mind. That said, if you send us something like June 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, or 4th, and you think we're going to get back to you, you can kiss my little white tushy, because that does not make any damn sense. That gives us no time to actually review it, gives us no time to kind of, do an analysis of it so that we can come prepared on the acquisition session.
Well, how many submissions do we have to go through? Let's put that out there.
All right. Well, hold on. All right. So that's a great question. The number
I'm just scared because, this isn't like we've got 12 submissions to go through. We really have to pour through them. No, we've got a couple hundred, don't we?
Yeah. Actually, I think it's like, well, and thankfully we also have 2 interns who've been reviewing all of our submissions.
Those comments help out a lot.
Don't they?
Yes, they do.
And honestly, they've been amazing. Our interns who've been reviewing them have been absolutely phenomenal.
Detailed, at length, descriptive, opinionated, very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Don't always agree with them, but I like reading them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because one of our interns, he really doesn't like it when pieces are not formatted correctly. And he's like, am I allowed to say no to this because it's not formatted correctly? And I'm like, yeah, we've got editors who do that. So why can't you? Just say that's why you said no. Oh, boy. Okay.
As long as there are no typos.
Oh, please. Okay, so across Running Wild Rise, Stromwell, Junkyard Rooster, I think that's all of it. There are a total of 207 works that we have to review.
Full length.
Full length.
Yep.
Now, admittedly, as we're going through them with our interns, if they both come back and they're like, oh, hell's no, and they have really good reasons, yeah, I just go ahead and decline it. So this has gotten significantly reduced with that approach. So because it's highly unlikely that they're going to come back with a, oh, hell's no, with logical reasons that we would turn around and say, oh, no, we have to get it. So awesome. All right. Wow, we have less than a minute left. I don't know. Is there anything you guys want to leave folks with before we jump off?
I'm looking forward to printing to publishing some books under Trompe l'oeil Press. I really am.
That will be amazing. Absolutely. Cool. All right. Well, then with that, thank you, everyone. As always, CJ, TJ, Dawn, fabulous to see you guys. If you're watching and it is not Thursday between 5 and 6 p.m. Pacific time, 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern time, go ahead and toss any kind of questions or comments into the comments section. We will absolutely get back to you. And until then, have a fabulous holiday weekend, and we will see you soon. Bye.